advice, any tips do you have to pitching a studio executive your story?
Well, that's a good question because I teach pitching all the time, and pitching is an extremely rare opportunity because you have to be in the room with the person who can buy something, and that doesn't happen very often. That's why we write treatments and written pitches, because an oral pitch is a chance. And I learned quickly as a literary manager that at least 50% of the time, writers are the last person you want to bring into the room to pitch their own stories, because they have a very bad habit that they go into a trance when they start pitching. And that trance means that they may be very excited, but they're no longer in contact with the eyes of the buyer. And as a professional salesman who spent all my life selling buyers in rooms, that's all I care about is your eyes when I'm trying to tell you a story, because I can tell within a microsecond when you've lost interest in the story. And if I keep pitching you, then not only have you lost interest, but it's going to be impossible to recover your interest, and you're creating a negative view of the story. And writers don't even see that because they're in a trance. They're in their own creative trance. And I always tell them, I'm going to kick you under the table when that happens so that you can come back to consciousness and, recognize what's going on. Because most pitches are long when they should be short. Most pitches go on for 20 minutes when they should be 2 minutes long, because the way you really sell somebody in the room is you get their attention in those 2 minutes, and then you let them ask questions for the next 20 minutes until they're invested in the story that they got intrigued by in the first 2 minutes. So it's a real art to be pitching, and it's something that the more you think about it, the worse you're going to be. And I'll tell you one story. I know we have to wind down at some point, but I once took a writer, a brilliant novelist who's gone on to write for television, to HBO, to Michael Fuchs's office, who was the head of HBO in those days. And we had practiced his pitch at Warner, which was the financier that partnered with me to take it in there. And we went in, said hello. There was a few minutes of chit chat. And Michael says to him, let me hear the story. So this guy, despite every warning, reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a little packet of 3x5 cards. And Fuchs said, what is that? And he said, these are just my cards, to prompt me. And he said, wait a minute, didn't you write this novel? And he said, yes. He said, how long did it take you? He said, a couple of years. He said, you worked on the story for 2 years. You wrote a novel. It became a bestseller. And you have to use cards? Get the fuck out of my office. Sorry. Get out of my office. And we left. We left the office. That was the end of that sale. And it taught me, an important thing. And every time I go to a writer's conference and talk about pitching, I tell them, when you come up here to pitch, you are not going to have paper in front of you, and you're not going to have your computer screen open. You're just going to look at me and tell me the story. And if you can't do that, you're not ready to do the pitch. So come back next year and, when you're ready, when you know your story. So pitching it's got to be from the heart. It's like telling the story. Imagine, you go to Thanksgiving, you sit down with your dreaded uncle, because every time he wants to tell a joke, he takes out some 3x5 cards so he can read the joke to you. I mean, that's exactly what, it is the danger of a writer pitching. Well, I'm a writer. I need words. Words come from your heart. They don't come from your, from your screen.